Hi, I'm Kriss Kyle, and today I'm going to take you through some of my biggest projects so far. So yeah, Kaleidoscope is almost 10 years old now. Yeah, I was 23 years old. It was my first ever big Red Bull project. And pretty much they gave me a blank canvas to do whatever I want and design whatever I want to ride. Some of the tricks that I thought about have never been done before. Like the pegs flare for me, that was something that I could only dream about, but we had to design and build a rail for that because you're never going to find it in a normal skate park. So we had to bespoke build that one to make that one work. And so that for me was like a massive learning curve, but I loved every second of it. Yeah, this was so different compared to my normal videos. This was my first time ever like sketching up ideas and then turning it into reality. I remember being so excited, just seeing it all come together. I was there throughout the whole build. It was an empty warehouse and we just built all that stuff in there. So to see all that come to reality and like come to life in front of my eyes was unbelievable. And I was in there working with my best friends, and yeah, I definitely felt a lot of pressure with that project just because, I mean, it was Ridley Scott's film project as well. So these guys actually make movies. The pressure was immense. I'd say for me, the biggest battle trick-wise was definitely the 360 foot plant onto the trampoline to then bounce and then front flip. Just because there was so many moving parts. Like the actual foot plant itself was getting pushed out the side, which is crazy. So I had to trust that that was going to be there for my foot to connect with, get the foot back on the bike, spin, tuck in, then get a good bounce, and then be able to front flip. And I just remember the amount of times that I'd land and bounce and be leaning slightly off to the side, and I'd just fire off the side of the trampoline. For me, that was some battle, and I was stoked to get that one done. So yeah, the rumor has it that, yeah, I made a bit of money on that project and managed to buy my first house, and I wasn't homeless anymore. I lived in here for 8 years. But I always said, I was like, if I ever make any money, then I'm gonna buy myself a house. So for me, that project turned my life around. Yeah, so it's a real special one for me. This is my Unit23 Raw 100. But yeah, my Unit23 Raw 100 is so important just because, well, this obviously shaped who I am as well as a person in this place. We're literally sitting in my living room, what I like to call it. The amount of hours that I've put in here is, I'd love to know, but it's probably like more than half of my life has been in here. But I used to live like just in the office there and sleep on a 2-seater couch. I really wanted to do a Raw 100 just because I've watched Brandon Semnick's ones over and over again, and to get the opportunity, and especially to do it in here, I was like, this is like the dream spot to do it. And also it's a core riding video, it's not like one of my mainstream ones. I don't know what I prefer more, I just love filming. So it could be a massive project or it could be a core riding one, it's all the same to me. As long as I'm filming with my friends and try to just think of these tricks and how can I ride something differently. I don't want to ride it normal, I want to try and put my own twist on it. That's when I'm having the most fun. And I feel like that's when my projects end up being the best. As long as you're having a good time, there's only good things that are going to come of it. And this is my BMX Dubai video. I remember we flew out there in the wreck and they took me on top of the Burj Al Arab onto the helipad, and they were like, is there anything you reckon you can do up here? Jokingly, I was like, if you get me a helicopter, I'll jump out of it and then I'll jump over the stairs and land on that red carpet. And I flew home, and a week later they were saying, yeah, they've okayed it, they've signed it off, they're giving me a helicopter, we're going to build a ramp up there and we're going to go and do it. And then when it came to it, it was like one of the hardest, gnarliest things I've ever done. It felt like I was jumping into a tornado. Like the downdraft off the blades, the bike was like getting ripped from me. And I remember the day that it came to me jumping out of that helicopter, I actually jumped too early. Like my Red Bull manager, Matt Bull, was in with me and I was clipped on to a harness at the back of me. Me being me, I get super nervous. And before the helicopter even lined up over the ramp, I just went, and he says he literally unclipped me as I was leaping out of the door. I could have easily jumped out and just been swinging off the harness, which would have been horrendous. Yeah, so when I jumped out as well, there was a line on the ramp that you can see. I was meant to land on that line because that was going to line me up perfectly to go in between the two bollards and jump onto the red carpet. But, well, I didn't. I had to land and then I had to turn, and you can see my bars like that, and then I just fly off over the stairs. I was so happy to get that one done, just because, yeah, if I'd have missed that first drop off, I wouldn't have been able to stop in time before hitting the bollards or going off the side. So yeah, that was a stressful one. But I remember landing on the red carpet, right into the elevator at the bottom. All my friends are there, and I was just like, this is why I do it. I got ripped off my bike, and just to have all my mates there and think like, yeah, that we'd done it. And it was just such a surreal feeling, and it's like, that's why I do these videos, just for that. And end of the day, it's not just me riding the bike, it's everyone else involved, and they want it just as much as I want it. So yeah, it's a dream. And with this project, I also got the opportunity to ride my bike down some water slides, which I'm not gonna lie, this might be the most fun that I've ever had on my bike, was getting to ride down those flumes. So off the back of the Dubai video, I then got the opportunity to go to Denmark and explore the whole place, and pretty much get the keys to the city again, and it was unreal. We got to ride the most insane spots. Yeah, jump onto cars, like I jumped onto a brand new Audi, nearly went through the windscreen, but yeah, I can't believe people let me do this. I went from jumping out of a helicopter in Dubai to then I was like, I need to arrive either from the air or something like that. Yeah, we had Jack Pimlet come in and strap me to him. He's a paraglider. Thought it'd be a great idea to paraglide in, but disconnect and land on top of a World War II bunker. And I was going to 360 off this other roof. So I was there for a full week waiting on the weather. It just didn't come. So I did try. I tried to land on that roof, but it was so dangerous and it got super, super hairy. So we had to settle for landing on the beach, but luckily I thought I could flare the cliff. So yeah, it was just like a natural quarter pipe. I think I just kicked it in with my feet. And yeah, so we still salvaged something out of that. It was still pretty cool flying in and then disconnecting, then pedaling and hitting a flare. So yeah, pretty mad opportunity. So yeah, Don't Look Down first came about at the start of lockdown. The world just came to a halt and I was like, well, I'm not gonna let it get me down and just sit and do nothing in the house. I was like, I'm gonna use this as fuel. I'm gonna think of what would be the gnarliest project, what has no one ever done before. I remember like walking my dog up the hill behind my house and I was just daydreaming. It was like a beautiful day, it was blue sky, and I was like, it just popped in my head. I was like, a floating skate park. I was like, why have I never thought about this idea before? Then I thought, I was like, how could you fly that? And then I thought, Chinook helicopter. But then I was like, it wouldn't work because after jumping out of the one in Dubai, the downdraft was insane. So I was like, you'd never be able to ride under a Chinook. So then I thought hot air balloon. I was like, because they don't fly in wind and yeah, they're just super nice and calm and relaxing, I thought. So yeah, got to the top of the hill, put it in my notes, ran back down, sketched it up, and I sent it to my manager, Matt Bull at Red Bull. He was into the idea right away, like loved it, but I didn't hear anything for like 7 months. And then, yeah, then he called me out the blue and was like, he's like, hey mate, he's like, I'm over in Austria and like people really want to see you do this. Would you seriously do it? And I was like, of course, man, of course I will. But didn't realize how hard it was going to be and what I was getting myself into. And we designed a bowl, something that was like, had to be small and tight, but also creatively and designed well for my riding to try and get the best out of it. We quickly realized that it was too heavy to fly. It was coming in at 7 tons. So then we went to Red Bull Racing. They managed to work a miracle, really. Made it out of carbon fiber, which is absolutely ridiculous, and chopped it down to just 2 tons, so then we could fly it. I didn't know if I was going to get up there and not be able to get out the basket. Like, how scary is that going to be? And if that bowl falls from underneath the balloon, what's going to happen? And we didn't know what it's going to be like to land, so there's so many things that could go wrong that we didn't really know about. Like, we knew roughly, but you don't know until you get up there. I didn't realize how cold it was going to be. It was -7 up there. I only had a window of half an hour, so 30 minutes, to nail all my tricks. We had 2 helicopters filming it. So to get all those angles and everything was a miracle. It was just like the most stressful thing ever. I also had the parachute on, which weighed more than 20% of my own body weight. That felt like someone was just on my back, like grabbing me. I couldn't do it without the parachute, because if I went over that side and had no parachute, I'd have been devastated, to say the least. And no joke, we had to wait around for a full year just to make this happen. With everyone's schedule, with the pilots, with the camera crew, with everything in the wind speed, it was a full year. So this is definitely one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. Hardest trick of Don't Look Down would be fakie front flip, just because you can't see it, but the bowl is actually, it's swaying. And I had to like 180 bunny hop, go backwards with that thing swaying under you, and then just huck a front flip. And it worked first try. So the scariest one for me is definitely the ice pick on the back rail. There's a reason why I was wearing that parachute, and it was for that trick pretty much. The only bit that I could ice pick was out of the bowl corner, so you're coming out of the corner. I remember just like it kind of blending into the sky. It was like super hard to see, and I always thought I was going to miss it and go under and just fall under the rail. Yeah, I actually done that twice. I had to learn a list of like riding lines, and I'd actually have them written down, and then they'd just radio down to me and tell me which ones I had to do for the helicopters. But that was stressful, to try and land everything right away and get all that done within 30 minutes, but then also have the weight of that parachute on you as well, and the bowl spinning and the coldness. It was just, yeah, it was like the hardest thing I've had to do. So yeah, another ongoing project is my tattoos, and my favorite one yet has to be the balloon from Don't Look Down, and I've actually got the bowl there as well. I always wanted a Red Bull tattoo anyway, just because it's gave me the lifestyle that I have and the life that I have, and it's let me literally live my dream, so I'm super proud of it, and it's a big part of me, so that's why I got that there. Moving on to my Formula 1 project. This one just involves a car coming at me head on and me hitting the ramp and jumping over it. So going back to the balloon, working alongside Red Bull Racing, and then I went to like Monaco, I went to all these races, and I was getting quite up close and personal with the cars. I really wanted to do something with a car and like push BMX or bikes in a different limelight and put it out there to a wider audience. So I was like, well, what could I do with that? And I was like, damn, I could jump over one like head on. I always like to think, what would I like to see someone do? And why has no one done that? But as usual, it grows arms and legs, and so I had to get on like a proper training program again, and it was like doing loads of box jumps, squats, loads of stuff, upper body, core stuff as well, just to try and make it as easy as I could. And then same with the bike as well, like we had to get a bespoke bike made for this, and it was made out of titanium with carbon fiber rims and tie spokes, so it was like super light. With this one, the hardest thing was just the timings. I had to be within, my reaction times had to be within 0.2 of a second, which is fast as you can blink an eye. I had to go on a beep system. The car would trigger a beep system further down. It would go through a beam. That would then trigger my beep system, which would be 6 beeps, and I would need to just go, and I'd need to pedal the exact same every single time to make sure that I wasn't going to be too late or too early. So to trust that everything was going to work, also with the headwind that I had, all it would have taken was a strong gust, and that would have messed around my 0.2 second leeway. Yeah, it was stressful, but again, it's just hitting that switch. Just turn yourself off and just go, and just trust that you're going to make this. Trust that all the times and training that you and the effort you put in are going to come out on top. Thankfully, it worked out. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, this is by far the scariest project I've ever done. Even like with the ice pick on the balloon and the helicopters, this one for me was just so out of my comfort zone, just trusting that it was all going to work, timings were going to work. There was no room for error whatsoever. And I swear when I hit that kicker, it went in slow motion. I thought I was going to hit the rear wing. I was like, just please make it. And then sure enough, landed through the bike. The boys rugby tackled me, and then, yeah, it's just nothing beats that feeling, and that's why you do it. Sometimes you forget, you're like, why am I doing this to myself? But then you do that, you get away with it, and there is no better feeling than I just get to celebrate with my mates after it. So moving on to out of season, this was my first ever big mountain bike video, and this one was the most stressed I've ever been, just because I'd never even flipped my mountain bike, I'd never even tail whipped it, I'd never even done a curve wall ride on it, and I just went into these woods and was like, yeah, if you build me this, we build that, let's build all this stuff, and I'll just do it all. I remember like going in there and seeing how big everything was. It was the night before filming, I was like, what happens if I can't do any of this? And I've let everyone down, like I've let all my friends down, all the build crew, let Rebel down, and like, sure enough, we started ticking it off. I think I started with a curve wall ride and it worked. And then I was like, actually, there's light at the end of the tunnel here, let's get it done. We also filmed that in winter. It was like December in Wales. It was grim, it was freezing. Yeah, I definitely went through a few battles in that video. I always leave the biggest thing till the end, just in case I get injured, at least we've got like a video. When I went off that roof into that tree, I didn't realize the bike is that big and it's so hard to turn in such a small, tight space. I had to pretty much 90 bunny hop that bike into like a vert wall. The first time I went too fast and the back wheel went off the side and ended up crashing and breaking my ribs. Didn't realize I broke them at the time. So I just got straight back up, climbed back onto the roof, and it definitely felt sore, but I was like, I'm all good, just wanted to get it done. So I went again, second time, crashed again, not as bad. I was definitely starting to get in a bit more pain, and then third time's a charm, got it done. And then the next day, I crashed again, just jumping the hip. And I knew, as soon as I hit the ground, this is not good, something's not right. But unfortunately, I remember just trying to say to the lads, like, I'm fine, I'll keep riding, but they're like, if you broke your rib and you punch your lung here, we're in the middle of nowhere, like, it wouldn't be good. So, but I'm kind of glad it happened, because I came back 2 months later. I came in with a fresh mindset and I felt super strong and healthy, and I was hungry to finish that video. So I managed to get the backflip foot plant done that I really wanted to get done as well, the pedal grind stuff as well, and it just all came together. So it was kind of nice to get broke off, but then also come back and do a better job than what it would have been. For me, it was like a breath of fresh air. It was like learning how to ride all over again. But to me, it's all the same. And it's like, when people ask you, what do you do? I'm just like a bike rider. Like, I'm not a BMXer, I'm not a mountain biker, although I'm both, but like, I just ride bikes. I'm a bike rider and I love it. Yeah, I'm always thinking, before I even finish a project, I'm always thinking, what's next? I've got so much more in the tank left to give, and yeah, I can't wait for what's ahead of me.